Okay, go back. It's
Okay, we are
Raja.
live now.
Okay.
Greeting, dear friends. Welcome to the International Online Faculty Development Program, Session 3 of Fundamentals of Quality Management, powered by Quality Fables. A vision without a strategy remains an illusion. Lee Borman. The essence of strategy is choosing what not to do next and what to do next. With this, we welcome all of you to the session on strategic planning versus operational planning. Dear friends, we have with us two distinguished personalities. Our resource person is one who is often referred to as the quality guru of India. He is a distinguished alumnus of IIT Mumbai. He was mentored by Dr. J.M. Juran, the father of quality. Sri Suresh Lulla has made an indelible mark through his work in the field of quality. Mr. Lulla pioneered the quality movement in India by setting up Qimpro Consultants in 1987. Welcome, Lulla, sir. We also have with us the head of Department of Commerce, Dr. Sandeep Shernai, a civil engineer with post-graduation and PhD in finance. Dr. Shernai heads the Department of Commerce, and he is also the Director Compliance of Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal. Dr. Shernai was instrumental in making Department of Commerce as one of the most prominent departments of MAHI. Welcome, Sandeep, sir. Now, may I request Dr. Sandeep Shernai to make his introductory remarks. Over to you, Sandeep, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dashrath, and greetings, dear friends. Very good morning to all of you. Strategy sprung from the need for people to defeat their enemies. The first treatises that discuss strategy are from the Chinese during the period of 400 to 200 BC. Sun Tzu's The Art of War, written in 400 BC, has received critical acclaim as the best work on military strategy, including those that have followed it centuries later. The term strategy is derived indirectly from the classic and Byzantine Greek word strategos, which means general. This emphasizes the need for a leader to win the war. Today's discussion is on strategy. In this regard, Qimpro is hosting this program in association with Department of Commerce MAHE as its knowledge partner. This is a golden opportunity for all of you to learn from Sri Suresh Lulla, an IIT alumnus, often referred to as the Quality Guru of India, and founder of Qimpro, which is involved in conceptualizing and organizing various quality awards, competitions, and consultancy to corporates. He is the direct student of Dr. Juran. Sri Lulla has helped top companies save crores by reducing the cost of poor quality. Mahe is always synonymous with quality and has showcased this by winning many national and international quality awards and by finding a place in top global rankings. Sri Lulla will be discussing the importance of strategic planning versus operational planning through a quality fable related to Kargil. He will be discussing this along with Dr. Dashrathraj Shetty. Dashrathraj is an associate professor at MIT Manipal. He is one of the most decorated RBNK examiners and has contributed to MAHE and primarily to MIT in its quality journey to achieve excellence. I am happy to say that Dr. Dashrathraj is my student and has been trained under my mentorship. Dashrathraj will pole vault the lessons learned from Fable to educational excellence. This is the third in the series of this monthly program. I welcome all of you to join us in this excellence journey. Thank you. Have a nice day. Please enjoy the session. Over to you, Dashrath.
Thank you, Sandeep, sir, for those insightful words and kind words also. Today, excellence in education is a topic of global interest. A strong strategy is necessary to succeed in the era of changing business models, changing types of businesses, and changing technology and culture. Today, let us listen to Sri Suresh Lulla ji, the author of 100 Quality Fables, and then later try to pole vault the same to achieve educational excellence. Today's topic is strategic planning versus operational planning. Over to you, Lulla sir.
Greetings to all the participants. Yes, it's a Sunday morning, and I appreciate your attending. Thank you, Dr. Sandeep Shenoy, for your warm introduction on this very special day, your birthday. You look as young as 25 to me. Qimpro directors, thank you for the knowledge partnership between the Department of Commerce, MAHE, and Qimpro. Dr. Dashrathraj Shetty, this online faculty development program has been your idea. At Qimpro, we appreciate the rollout. The USP of this faculty development program is Quality Fables. Now, I'd like to reminisce a bit and go back to 1968. That's 50 years back. My first job was in Philadelphia and in an economic planning cell. In those days, computers were mainframe, and Sun Oil Company had a 1401. Now, I came as a young graduate and suddenly put into this ivory tower planning. I was asked to make a sales forecast by region, by district. Now, I did what I had been taught at my master's in Detroit, and that was using, time series. Time series for trend, cyclical patterns, seasonality, and irregularities. Now, all I had to do was put all this data in place and then draw a straight line forward and say, next year, you will make that much more. It was considered rocket science, what I was doing. Now, planning has come a long way since then. From extrapolating a trend, that too of only a sales forecast and deriving all the other requirements, to where performance excellence models define strategic planning as a vision deployment exercise. Now, vision is the key word. Vision is a snapshot of what you wish to become. A snapshot of what you wish to become as an organization. It's often confused with the term mission. Mission is used in the military sense that these are the tactics we will use to reach the vision. That's not the case in performance excellence. Mission is the reason for your existence, the purpose of your existence. Mahatma Gandhi had a vision, right? Independence for India from the British rule. His mission was non-violent movement. Similarly, Mother Teresa had a vision. And she had a mission to serve the destitutes. So let's go on to a fable. Now, a fable is not about animals and fiction. A fable is about real people and real experience. The fable I'm going to talk about is Lessons from Kargil. I'd like to pose a question. Do you schedule your priorities, or do you prioritize your schedule? I'll repeat. Do you schedule your priorities, or do you prioritize your schedule? I'd like to go to 1999, May. At this time, the Pakistani soldiers crossed the line of control at Kargil. Now, when they cross the line of control, it becomes a very serious problem, a very urgent, very important problem. They marched on all the way to Tiger Hill, and they captured it. And they moved up to the point where Tiger Hill was a cliff and they couldn't proceed any further. They celebrated. In May 1999, simultaneously, the Cricket World Cup was being played in England. And the Prince of Kolkata, Saurav Ganguly, was in big form. All Indians were glued to their TVs until they heard of the attack on Kargil. So the commander-in-chief took charge. The defense forces took charge to deal with the crisis. The vision was to restore the line of control. What stood between the line of control and us was an occupied Tiger Hill. Tiger Hill was a critical success factor. What were the resources available to the commander-in-chief? Army, Navy, Air Force. The army could not access the cliff, so they were not of any use. The Navy was of no use to a landlocked Tiger Hill. And Air Force, our aircraft were not agile enough, not fast enough to cross Tiger Hill, bomb, and return in 30 seconds. If they did it in anything longer, the Pakistanis would have shot us down. Now, snowfall starts in Kargil in August, and we are in end May. We had 8 weeks between us. The commander-in-chief had to capture the line of control in this 8 weeks, or else the Pakistanis would have occupied Tiger Hill through the winter and the snow and almost legitimized their presence. So the commander-in-chief set a strategic goal: capture Tiger Hill in 2 weeks. The strategic goal would lead to the vision of line of control. So as a tactic, the commander-in-chief leased out aircraft from France that had the capability of flying in and out all in 30 seconds. And in those 30 seconds, bombing Tiger Hill. Once Tiger Hill was in our control, the commander-in-chief prioritized his schedule. Tiger Hill to line of control in 6 weeks. He set milestones to be crossed. The Indian forces achieved a better deal than 6 weeks. Jai Hind. What are the lessons we learn? There are 4 levels of planning. Strategic to take you to your vision. Tactical planning to facilitate meeting a strategic goal, a goal that captures the equivalent of Tiger Hills. It could be high cost of poor quality, high customer dissatisfaction. Operational is what we factor into time. Quarterly targets, monthly targets, weekly targets. We prioritize the schedule. And all this converts into money. We do it in budget. So there are 4 types of planning. Strategic takes you to the vision. Tactical, that helps you meet a strategic goal. Operational, where you prioritize the schedule, and that schedule is then created into a budget. A vision is a snapshot of what you wish to become. Strategic planning is a vision deployment exercise. Every performance excellence model will reinforce this. For strategic planning, we must schedule our priorities. Capturing Tiger Hill was a priority. For operational planning, we prioritize our schedule. Leaders must be accountable for planning. It's not delegable. Execution can be deployed. Thank you.
Thank you, Lulla, sir, for that wonderful presentation. And we will go back to the question answer session. I will try to follow all the same to the educational domain. From the learnings, what I learned from your session. Then we'll come back to the question answer session. We'll take questions from the audience. From Lulla sir's presentation, we today understood that it is most important that the top management be quality minded. Why I took Juran's quote is because Sir was directly mentored by Dr. Juran. So we have understood that it is most important that the top management be quality minded. In absence of sincere manifestation of interest at the top level, little will happen below. He who sweats more in training bleeds less in war. In the sense, it's I can just not only talk of training here. He who has a grand strategy and works or gets trained himself according to strategy will also bleed less during the war. Coming back to the education domain, the word strategy, as all of us know, has come or has been derived from the Greek word strategos, which means general. In the sense, it emphasizes the fact that the role of a general or a leader in strategy formulation is of highest importance. You can see a strategic pyramid here, as Lulla sir has told. Strategy is highly dependent on the vision, and it is the job of the top management and the leadership to determine what should be the vision of a particular organization. It is also same for all the organizations as well as for all the educational institutions. Usually the strategy is formulated, if I talk of the higher level strategy, it's for the larger span and it's for the entire organization. When I talk of the tactical level, so tactical level strategies are for functional level, for unit specific, and so on. Why it is called tactical level is, as Lulla sir explained, because during the course, we might have to take certain tactical decisions depending upon our functional requirements. He gave us an example of we leasing out bombers or aircrafts for the strategical reasons, in the sense we needed. Without that, we could not have won the war. So we had to lease out the aircrafts, which we did not have those days. So that was a tactical decision, and it was required at that particular moment of time. Operational level is for how do we function effectively, adhering to the highest quality requirements and based on various priorities. Now, tactical may change yearly or based on the various things. Operational may be daily or quarterly or so on. So this is how the framework looks like. Of course, it need not be the pyramid always, but based on the organization, it might change a bit. Now, when I talk of educational institutions, what we can do is usually these are the 5 pillars which every educational institution can follow. The first pillar is excellence in education. The second pillar is exemplary research and innovation. The third pillar is expanding reach and internationalization. And fourth pillar is effective engagement and alumni relation. And fifth pillar is enabling foundation. So these 5 pillars should form the core of the strategy of a particular educational institution. These 5 pillars may form the pillar, but when we formulate a strategy based on these 5 pillars, we will have to take input from our risk assessment process and from impact of the 5 forces. Now, what is this first pillar, that is excellence in education? It is, I will share a couple of things in the sense, for excellence in education, maybe identification of the right student for the right course, offering of interdisciplinary courses, see to it that there are more student enrollments, then fulfilling the standard requirements as set by various bodies of the government, teaching methods or pedagogy, or so on. So excellence of education speaks of these things. Next, exemplary research and innovation. When you talk of research and innovation, our strategy for setting up a research culture in the organization, how do we collaborate with people, how to bring in the culture of innovation in the organization, how to draw students to bring in that, how to imbibe that research and innovation culture among the student and faculty, and so on. Next pillar is expanding reach and internationalization. What is the exposure of the international culture in your organization? What is the staff student mix of the local and national and international level? What is the student mobility? What is the staff mobility? How many staff members go outside and teach in various parts of the world? How many faculty from other parts of the world come and teach here? How many students perform the internships outside India? How many outside students and come perform and take up internship in your organization? So this is about reach and internationalization. Effective engagement and alumni relation. So first of all, the main objective here should be where are your alumni placed now? In which part of the world they are placed? How are they doing? How are they contributing back to the institute? How are you honoring them? How are you actually recognizing them? How many the current students are talking to the alumni? So the strategy related to this comes under the pillar 4. Pillar 5, enabling foundation, in the sense the infrastructural requirements, the environment of the organization, the labs, everything come under enabling the foundation. All these pillars take input from the risk assessment and impact of 5 forces. Now, for 5 forces, we have taken the Porter's 5-force model. Any organization or any educational institution is affected by 5 forces. The first force is rivalry among the existing institutions. If I'm talking of my organization, rivalry among the existing higher education institutions. How am I performing when compared to the other educational institutions? Maybe I can measure it using the various rankings by the government bodies as well as by other ranking agencies. Next, how are suppliers having an impact on me? In the sense, the faculty, the administrators, and other staff members, and other equipment suppliers. So how are the faculty members and administrators as suppliers having an impact on me? How is the employee turnover? How is the retention rate? How am I seen as a potential employer? So this is how the suppliers' impact on my organization looks like. Buyers of services and buyers here for an educational institution is service seekers, students and parents, and might be even the organizations which hire my students in the later stage are the buyers. What is their perception? Am I highly sought after, or so on? So my strategy depends on these things. Next, potential new entrants, the new institutions. International institutions may come into India and establish their campuses here. Duplicates from the existing players. In the sense, there is one organization, but now the same organization is having campuses in multiple locations. So they are my potential new entrants. Next, potential substitutes. In the sense, is the brick and mortar or the offline education facing the threat? In the sense, the people are people switching over to the online degrees instead of coming to the campus and studying here? So how am I going to differentiate if these online degrees will pose a threat on my regular offline way of teaching? What if the other institutions which work only for profit come in, and they also may pose a serious threat? So when we formulate the strategy, all these 5 forces have to be taken into account. Next part is we'll have to go for risk assessment. So in the risk assessment, we have the competitive risk, as we have seen also in Porter's 5 force model. Change risk, how is the technology evolving? How is the society evolving? How is the culture changing? So am I aware that how things are changing? Am I formulating my strategy based on these changes and risks? Next is about the regulatory risk. How is the government's policy changing? The new education policy. How will the new education policy impact me? What are the various regulatory changes that are happening that will impact me? Always, all the educational institutions or organizations will have to keep a track of these things. Economic risk. What is the spending power of the people? Will my courses be able to cater to the changing economy, changing way how the business organizations are working? That there are changing business models. Are my courses ready for that? Next, the political risk. What is the stability of the government? What is the attitude of the government towards the educational institutions? So on. So these are the various risks which I will have to keep in mind when I formulate the strategy for my educational institution. So there are other tools like the SWOT analysis, pestle analysis, which you can carry out when you formulate the strategy for your educational institutions. Now, you will also have to take into account the student experience or student developmental objectives when you formulate the strategy. That is entrepreneurship and leadership development. Might be you have your incubator centers, you have your innovation centers, and various leadership development programs. Creativity, innovation, problem solving. Have you brought in new subjects which brings in the culture of creativity and innovation? Academic excellence. For this, what about the, are you adhering to the various regulatory bodies? Like, are you certified by various quality agencies? What about the IET? What about the NBA? What about the NAC? What about the AICT? What about the UGC? When I talk about the Indian scenario, since I have a global audience here, so there might be various regulatory organizations in your specific country, which are specific to your country. So how do you adhere to their requirements? Sports. How many what are the facilities that are provided? How many people are the serious players who may participate in national and international levels? So all these factors, suppose I'm talking of Manipal, we have international Marina Sports Complex, which is a 6-floor indoor sports complex where students, thousands of students can play at a time during all seasons of the year. What are various visual and digital arts facilities you are providing? So on. So here you are trying to give the overall experience to a particular student. Universal values and ethics. We have a compulsory subject on universal values, ethics, and discipline. The leaders walk the talk. So how are you providing that experience to the student? Speech, drama, and personality development. For speech, drama, we have various student clubs like AINA, ADA, where student enroll and perform drama. They'll have workshops related to various theaters and so on. We have the Toastmasters Club, and so on. So how do you measure its effectiveness? You need to develop matrices for this, all of these things, so that ultimately whether you can see how are all these developmental objectives are being monitored, and they have to be successful also. Then you have community connection and care and conserve. Here we also need to uh, uh, here in the community connection, we have various clubs which handle the community connection. We have Lions, we have Rotary, we have our own clubs which go to the community and serve the people. And there are points given to the students based on the number of hours they put in. One of the best examples which judiciously follow this and measure their performance is GIS. So they call it as a 9-gem framework, and they have developed effective metrics for for measuring each one of this. So my dear friends, this is how the strategies have been are being formulated, are to be formulated using various sets of tools. So formulating of strategy maybe for the war or maybe for a regular business functioning or for the educational institutions, they work on the same or similar lines. So this is what we have learned from Lulla sir's teaching today, and we were able to pole vault this to the educational sector. So we'll try to with this I come to the end of my part of presentation. Now we will try to take some questions from the audience. Do you have any questions? Dear audience, we would like to get some more questions from your side. Can we have some questions from your side? Any questions? Okay, there is one question from Rhoda Galganko. The question is, in the international arena, what is the best gauge of excellence in education? In my country, it is usually the rate of passing in a board exam or licensure examination. Over to you, Lulla, sir. The question is, in the international arena, what is the best gauge of excellence in education? In my country, it is usually the rate of passing in a board exam or licensure examination.
I don't have a direct response, but I'll give an example. At Harvard Business School, they did a survey of where were their graduates 14 years after graduation. What they discovered is that the top 10% had not made it. They lacked the soft skills that are important in real world. It is the next 10% that made it to the top. They were the ones who knew communication. They probably had worked on drama, literature, some right brain art subjects. So that would be one of my responses. A similar story at IITs happens. The top 10% are not necessarily the top 10% in the real world. It's the next 10, 15% that make it. So the importance of not just hard skill competencies in exams, but it's the soft skills. Soft skills as how to conduct a meeting, how to communicate, how to clarify, confirm that you have understood. How do you give positive feedback? We tend to give corrective feedback or negative feedback. Do you find time to give positive feedback? And most important is when you're working with people, how do you deal with resistance? Now, these are some of the important soft skills, including the skill of problem solving. Do you know how to solve a problem? Or do you have a solution in search of a problem? How often it's a solution chasing opportunities for a problem. A problem, solving problems is the job of a manager. Chronic problems. Okay? Over to you. You can add what you like.
Yes, sir. As Lulla sir has told, he spoke about how to gauge the excellence of education when we look at the student in specific terms. If you're talking of educational institutions as a whole, we have various ranking agencies, global ranking agencies like the QS ranking, we have the Times ranking, we have the ranking given by the various governmental bodies. I think this can be one of the measures which you can take into account if you want to compare it with other institutions or other global institutions. Students also may keep a track on this because before joining an institution, usually they check which one is the better institution. Thank you, Lulla sir. The next question here is, what is the basic quality to be a sound-minded person at a corporate level? I think it's a general question. What is the basic quality to be a sound-minded person at a corporate level? I didn't get the question. I think we'll move on to the next question. What is the main advantage to the market using strategic planning? It's by Franklin Valdez. What is the main advantage to the market using strategic planning?
You want me to answer?
Yes, sir. Over to you, sir.
See, who defines quality? Customer. Who's your final inspector? Customer. Who pays your salary? Customer. Now, unless a leader is proactive in understanding the stated and unstated needs of existing and potential customers, they will not be able to define a proper vision. In education, you have the biggest problem compared to any other because the customer lasts with you for 3 years, 4 years, in the school, 10 years. And the more you educate them, the more their expectations change. Now, how proactive are you understanding students, parents, and the needs of industry? Do the leaders meet industry? After all, a student is an output from an educational institution. Is that output fit for use in industry? We do focus on students, we do focus on parents, etc. Do we focus on industry and society? Is the person coming out a role model in society? So it's a very complex question. And its excellence in education is probably the toughest to implement, only because your customer expectations are a moving target. So for a leader, don't wait for complaints. Go out and meet the customer, industry, society.
Sir, there is a next. Thank you, sir. There's a next question from Rhoda Galango. Sorry if I misspelled the name. What suggestion can you give to make the strategic plans work effectively despite the unpredictability of the government regulations and other threats from external environment? Should I repeat, sir?
Well, you do a SWOT analysis, don't you? A SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Strength is the positive, weakness is the negative for the present. Opportunity is the positive and threat is the negative for the future. Now, much depends on, do you define the future time horizon? You have to build on your strengths to capture opportunities. And you have to have strategic goals to contain the threats. Now, we talk of big terms in excellence such as flexibility, agility. All this can happen if you understand your customer needs faster, better, cheaper than your competitors. There's no rocket science to what can be put together as a service. But do you understand their needs, or are you trying to push what you know onto students? Students want jobs. Industry wants employable students. I don't want an induction program to help the new recruit to unlearn what they learned in college and learn the new skills. Basic skills, problem solving. Do you know how to recognize a problem? Do you know how to state a problem without implying blame or a solution? How often do you find people state a problem with a solution? They state a problem and assign blame. Are you above all that? These are some of my reactions, Raja.
Thank you, sir. There's one more question by Mayank Shandil. At the time of pandemic, we faculty are providing our teaching on online platform for last 8 months. But nowadays, we are facing problem while retaining the students. What strategies we use?
Are you going to answer it, or do you want me to answer it?
No, you can give your opinion, sir. I will add on to it later.
Okay. Teaching online is a challenge. A, you do not have any eye contact with your students. You don't know whether they are actually learning You don't even know if they're actually attending. Now, if you're measuring only attendance to get a certificate, then okay, that's what online will do. How do you keep students glued to your course? Bring in multiple speakers. Bring in stories. Bring in examples. Adults don't want sermons. They want stories, like children. Adults and children are very similar in their needs. That would be my reaction to it. You have to make it more interesting. You can't just be giving a monologue, a sermon, and expecting the person to pay attention. Attention spans are shrinking. If you can keep the attention of a person for 7 minutes, you deserve the Bharat Ratna. It's difficult. So online, to get that interaction is tough. So what do you do? What tactic do you use to overcome that? Stories, and allow them to write to you questions. It's not the same as a classroom. It'll never be the same as a classroom. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Continuing with the answer for that particular question, during the presentation, Lulla sir explained the role of tactical strategies. So if you see, during the war, we came to know that it was necessary for us to hire or lease out bomber planes as we did not have one. Similarly, during our operations, during pandemic, we came to know that suddenly we have to switch over full time to online education. Where, as Lulla sir explained, we do not have eye contact. We don't understand the emotions of students. We don't know actually what students are doing. But now we'll have to take some tactical decisions in the sense how to hold the interest span. How do you see the students attend? As a teacher, what strategies I adopt is I have frequent quizzes so that there's a continuous evaluation. Students have to answer the polls, answer the questions in between frequently. So for answering those questions, they have to listen to my class. That's one way of doing it. Another, if you are using Teams, you have Insights, a tool called as Insights, which actually gives you how long the student was active or inactive. So you don't go after the students, but you make aware that there is a tool, such a tool, which will give us his level of activity. Student automatically will come back. But all these tactics you can do, but unless there is a proper content, interesting lectures, it is very difficult for you to retain. So the basis of holding a student throughout your session is an interesting lecture with proper content. Thank you. We'll move on to one more question. There is one more question by Sana Khan. The question is, what do we do if we get defocused from our planning? It's a very difficult question to answer. Over to you, Lulla, sir. Sir, you are muted, sir. So unmute yourself. Yes.
I said, pray to God that things get worse, and then you will back on your plan. There's nothing I can say there.
Sir, I think there are no more questions, and we have time-wise also we have reached the end of our designated time. So, would you like to say something about our next session, so that then I'll go for the summarization part.
Okay. Can you? The next session will be on customer first. Now, any good process follows a plan, do, check, act cycle. Leaders do the planning, they deploy the doing, the checking or the review is done by the leaders, and acting on the difference is where the improvement projects come. Now, we tend to see leaders only do the planning and they expect everything to happen. A culture is built when people see what you are reviewing or checking. Where are you spending your time? That creates a customer-driven culture if that's what you're looking at. So the fable next time will be customer first, always. And I will demonstrate how a plan, do, check, act can make it happen faster than you could ever imagine. Thank you.
Thank you, Lulla, sir. Dear friends, in today's session, we started with the Kargil Quality Fable. We tried to understand the role of the leader, the role of a strategy, the role of the tactical and operational plans, and how important they are. We also tried to pole vault the learnings from the Kargil Fable to the educational domain. We tried to understand how vision deployment leads to a stronger strategic plan, the importance of tactical and operational plans. We also try to understand the various or 5 pillars of excellence. Then we try to understand how to do the environmental scan, how to understand the various related risks, and how to imbibe those and understand those risks and formulate a right strategy. And most of your questions today were related to the pandemic and how to come out of the pandemic, the unknown situation. So you need to have always a right risk assessment plan. You need to have a disaster management plan so that in case of such pandemics or any sorts of other risks which may arise without telling you, you are ready to face it. In MIT, back in my organization, we were ready with the online lecture plan within a week after the pandemic, because we have our Microsoft licensing, the global campus and the whole campus license for Microsoft. So everything was ready. It was just the mode switchover that was necessary. The teachers were well equipped. The leaders led it from the front and helped us to deliver our lectures online. The online assessments were there. Everything was there in place. Similarly, we think that certain unwanted situation will not arise, but may arise. So we have to be always ready for the situation which we think that may not arise, and it has to be a part of your strategy. With these few words, I would like to conclude our session by thanking our today's resource person, Sri Lulla sir, who is always with us and explaining the concepts in such an easy and understandable manner. We also thank Dr. Sandeep Shanai, the head of Department of Commerce, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, for being our knowledge partner. I also thank my student Namesh, who has always been in the background and helping us this to happen. We also thank Team Qimpro, which helps us throughout to deliver this program to you. This entire program is hosted by Qimpro consultants. So you can visit the website of Qimpro Consultants to know more about the various quality related services provided by them. You may also visit website manipal.edu to understand our various programs which may be of interest to you. Dear friends, we will meet you all in our next edition of the the program Fundamentals of Quality Management, which is powered by Quality Fables and brought to you or presented by Lulla sir. Dear friends, have a great day, have a great Sunday. Thank you.